You're listening to Nightmare on Film Street. The current time is 6:66. Traffic is clear ahead from here to the afterlife, but it's hell outside. For the next hour, you're on Nightmare time. So, let's give a grave welcome to our hosts, John and Kim.
Hello again, fiends, and welcome back to Nightmare on Film Street, the horror movie podcast for the casually obsessed. I'm John.
I'm Kim.
And despite our best efforts, last week we were truly obsessed talking about Suspiria from 2018, and today we will try and channel that casual obsession for Jordan Peele's Us. This is part 2 of our Dance of Another series, and I think just what a perfect pairing for these two movies.
I love this pairing. It's a little bit cheeky. It's based in concept, and it's not quite literal, but it is also literal. I'm very much enjoying our pairing.
Right? One movie, you're dancing the dance of another, and you're making yourself in the image of its creator, which is just a great poetic statement about art and dance and sort of a thesis for remaking a movie in general. And then Us is a movie about doppelgangers that are controlled by one set that like roams the earth as free-willed individuals and another group referred to in this film as the Tethered.
There's also 2 really impactful scenes, one from each film.
Dance actually works.
Yeah, of dance with somebody being tethered to somebody else below,
right?
And it's an entirely different experience for the person underneath. I'm talking about the dance in Suspiria where Olga is getting like deconstructed as a human being, and the climax in Us where Addie is dancing and Red is learning that she actually likes to dance, I think, but it's also not as aesthetically beautiful a dance.
That's a key scene that I definitely want to talk a lot more about. But as always, here are 3 good things about Us.
Number 1, I'm going to go with the soundtrack/score. I think this movie has one of the best soundscapes in horror cinema of all time. It would be on my top 10 list. The remix, the I Got 5 on It remix that plays during the climax sequence is so fucking good. I just listen to it all the time on Spotify. I
know. He's going to be chasing it his entire career, right? Michael Abels, the guy who did the remix, does most of the work most of the music for Jordan Peele. Did that cool, funky, spooky remix of Corey Hart's Sunglasses at Night for Nope. But
that's good too.
Pales in comparison.
Oh, it's so good. And also too, just characters dying to the Beach Boys is like something horror movie bucket list I didn't even know I had on my bucket list.
It's pretty great. Yeah. Okay, well then that kind of leads me into my number 2 good thing. What do they refer to it as? The 7-second home invasion. An entire family slaughtered.
It's so fast.
In less than 10 seconds, all set to good vibrations.
Love it. And then number 3, I'm going to go with Winston Duke as Gabe.
Okay.
He is my favorite thing about this movie. I love him so much. I love him trying to get action in the bedroom. I love him sad he can't go to the beach. Yeah. I love him getting his boat. I love him trying to fend off home invaders. Yeah. I love him trying to fend off home invaders.
Right, when he gets like a little tough, he's like, we're going to get crazy. But like meanwhile,
if you want to get crazy, we can get crazy.
He's such a nerdy dad. Who's just trying to act tough. Like,
I love him so
much.
much. He's such a big kid, and he provides such good humor to this, and he really makes the family feel like such a believable 4. Their in the car interactions are so genuine and believable, and he is just like the rock of this family, and I love him.
Yeah, he's incredible. And like, obviously, Lupita Nyong'o, amazing in this movie. Like,
I know, she's fantastic.
Everybody's playing dual roles. Nobody playing a dual role more challenging than what she's doing here. She's incredible. But Winston Duke, fucking MVP. I love when he's trying to negotiate with the Tethered when they first break into the house. He's like, oh, you can take the cash in my wallet. We'll go to the ATM. You can have the boat. And the entire family's like, no one wants the boat, Dad.
Also, too, you're confronting doppelgangers of yourselves. Like, there's something supernatural here happening.
Yeah.
They definitely don't want your fucking money.
They don't want your stuff. Yeah.
Like, they don't want your money. This is not about money.
Yeah, so those are three good things. Three things we're always excited to talk about when it comes to Jordan Peele's Us. We're gonna toss the trailer when we get back. We're gonna get into our full breakdown of this movie, including a late stage theory that I found on the internet about the end of this movie that I can't wait to hear what you think about.
Oh, shit.
That's
a classic right there.
What does I Got 5 on it mean?
It's about drugs.
It's not about drugs. It's a dope song. Don't do drugs.
Get in rhythm. There you go. There you go. Can't believe how big they've got.
Did you hear Gabe got a boat?
He's kidding, right?
He's not kidding.
Hey, I think it's vodka o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Jason?
Jason?
Where were you?
I didn't know if you were lost. Stick with me, and I'll keep you safe.
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors. But y'all scared of a family? Hi, can I help you?
Zora, put your shoes on.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. What are you people?
It's us.
They look exactly like us. They think like us. They know where we are. We need to move and keep moving. They won't stop until they kill us. Or we kill them.
Be careful.
Us is currently sitting at a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, wow.
With, most importantly, an audience score of 60%.
Oh, wow.
A little more reflective of that IMDb score. And on Letterboxd, it's currently sitting at a 3.7 out of 5.
Yeah, I remember this one getting like slightly lukewarm reviews when it came out.
Oh, I don't.
I just mean in general from like reception.
Okay,
So I'm not
you don't mean
necessarily.
critics.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking critically.
Critics were nuts about it.
But I just remember the audience being like, "Meh, it's not as good as Get Out," and you know what? Like, I'll agree with that. Get Out was just like fantastic, and maybe people came into it with expectations too high, because I also think that Nope, his third follow-up, I think people had set their expectations better, and I think that one was received a little bit more well. But I still really like Us.
Oh, yeah, it's
and
good.
I enjoyed it the first time we saw it. I still enjoy it now. I think it's highly watchable, partly because I love the soundtrack so much.
Sure.
But I really enjoy this movie.
I think that Us and Nope both suffer from the same problem, in that it's trying to maybe say too much, or it's trying to have too many themes, but highly watchable.
Honestly,
just like you said, really fun.
You know where I think that's coming from, though, that feeling, is that his debut feature shot off like a rocket. It got nominated for Oscars. They put him on the stove and they were like, cook us more movies. So I think that's kind of where any flaws I see in Us are just because
he thinks that he needs to make
no,
it
I
have
think
more
it
themes?
just came, it was probably just written and thrown into development too fast. Like there's some logic issues I have with the movie, but I think it's just because of a speed thing.
Okay.
And that's my theory. I have no idea if he had like pre-written it or whatever, but like if the development process is shorter, you don't necessarily have as many eyes being critical of all of the the little nuts and bolts that make the structure of your story. And he's shooting big with all of his movies, and especially in this one, he's trying to make iconic villain characters. So he's thinking about their outfit, their weapon of choice, their lair. He's really shooting big with brand new lore for this universe. I just think it was a fast turnaround. I'm assuming.
I do love that each of his movies kind of have like one little image or item that defines everything.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Like, Get Out, you have the teacup and the spoon.
Yeah.
This, you have rabbit and scissors.
You don't even need the rabbit, just scissors.
Rabbit and scissors.
and Nope, you have a shoe that's just balancing in a way that it shouldn't.
Or a kite.
Or a kite, yeah. I mean, where else do you want to go with this?
Or a pony.
Or a Scorpion King sweater.
Or Stephen Yen.
Or a quarter. I feel like I came out of the gate saying, like, here's the problem with Us. But, like, it is a really fucking good movie. And the horror sequences are dynamite. I remember him saying that he was, I don't know if he was upset with, but, like, there was a lot of pushback from people who just didn't want to admit that they liked a horror movie when Get Out came out, because there was
the thriller horror debate.
You remember like the 6-8 month conversation? Like, I don't know, I think it's more of a thriller than a horror movie.
They're body snatching.
Yeah, like, just because you don't like horror movies doesn't mean you didn't like this one horror movie. Fucking get over it, Stop calling it a thriller. But it does fit my criteria that you sleep with the murderer before you get attempted murdered. That's the theme.
Get Out?
No, just thrillers.
Because I was like, what happens in Us?
Thrillers and horror movies. And maybe it's just because horror movies often skew towards supernatural stuff, but usually it's like a thriller is like you meet somebody, you sleep with them, and then you find out that they're evil.
Yeah, but by that theory, then, spoiler alert, from 1996, Scream is a thriller.
I know, but that's what makes Scream so transcendent.
Yeah, but Scream is also kind of like a whodunit. So
and it's breaking the rules of what a horror movie's supposed to do, because in a horror movie, you shouldn't sleep with the killer before the end of the movie.
All right.
Yeah, okay, well, Us, through and through, is a horror movie from the get-go. Like, all the elements, all of the scare sequences are purely there to terrify you, and it hinges on some incredible performances, because I think that's the true horror of Us, right? Is the doppelganger performances from every actor on screen. Especially Lupita Nyong'o, who's just delivering monologues that are haunting.
She's like so pained, but like zany. It's a weird conflicting feeling, because you're just like, the adrenaline she's running on, but also her story is so sad. Like it's a really conflicting. Every time you see Red, it's conflicting emotions.
Yeah. So the whole family is at near Santa Cruz, near the Santa Cruz boardwalk, visiting the family cottage. They're on a little vacation, and at some point, they get home invaded by a group of people wearing red jumpsuits that look identical to them.
Yeah, and well, you're missing the beginning, is that...
I wasn't sure if we wanted to talk about the cold open now or later.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the crux of the movie, is that this is Addie's childhood summer home, and when she was young, like quite young, 7 or 6, I don't know. I don't know child ages. Like, yeah. I don't know. She was smaller than a Thriller large.
That's good.
She wanders off. She gets lost for 15 minutes. She goes into one of those like dark house. It looks like it's a haunted house, but refitted to look like it's
a vision quest
for
Kim.
Peace and calm. But there are jump scare owls in there.
It's a mirror maze. They're terrifying.
And while in there, she discovers a doppelganger of herself, and it's such a beautiful, horrifying image. It's fucking gorgeous.
This is why I was curious whether or not you wanted to talk about it now or later, because we don't see that doppelganger in the cold open. Like, crucially, in the cold open of the movie, she gets lost in the mirror maze. She sort of like backs up to a mirror against the wall, but when she turns around, her reflection doesn't move. She has a horrified look on her face, and then we cut to like 25-30 years later.
Yeah, but her reflection is staring the wrong way.
I know. Maybe I forgot to mention that. So, but all I'm saying is, like, we don't get the full scene there. We're not supposed to know everything that
all right,
happened.
that comes.
Which I think the entire audience was ahead of this whole movie. Maybe it's just
well, and
because
that's
of
just
the
in the
trailer.
marketing. Like, that it's a doppelganger movie.
Yeah.
We've seen the red suits by this point. We even know about the scissors. We know everything up to the home invasion.
We're all jazzed to see this fucking movie.
Yeah.
And we've seen enough movies to know that she done got attacked by her doppelganger when she was a child.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reveal that comes in literally the final moments of the movie, where they really nail down.
What actually happens down there is in the final movie, but we know that she met her doppelganger.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're not... Okay. All right.
wasn't...
That's a little different. Okay, fine. Spoiler alert. In the final moments of the movie, we learn that that Adelaide is attacked by her doppelganger and then dragged down into the bowels of the doppelganger lair, the tethered lair, and left there. The doppelganger then takes her place up in the real world, essentially swapping spots.
Yeah, so Adelaide is Red and Red is Adelaide.
Yeah, she strangles this girl until she's unconscious, abandons her downstairs. They swap shirts. She goes back up and she pretends to be her alternate self. Her parents, because she can't talk, her parents think that she's witnessed something traumatic, kinda, and is just like slowly becomes a real human being up there, but leaves Red with permanently wounded. Like her vocal cords are strained, so when she talks like this.
Oh, that was a really
that
good
actually
example.
wasn't bad. I didn't prep that. Came out okay. And now that the family is back in town, she still has this weird feeling about everything. She's scared for her kids because of this like haunting memory she has, this lingering trauma from her childhood. And it all comes to a head when these really creepy people wearing red jumpsuits start appearing everywhere, murdering people in the streets.
So this was a question I was going to say for the end of the episode, but since we've already talked about the end of the movie, do you think she's aware at the beginning of the film who she is? Or do you think it's something that comes in that final drive? Like when it's revealed to us, the audience, is it a memory that kind of like awakens in her?
I don't know.
Because she smiles like she knows who she is.
It's a 50-50 thing. Like either because she doesn't want to go to the boardwalk. She's even being at the cottage.
Yeah.
She's just like, I don't know. We all gotta keep our head on a swivel. Like we gotta keep our eyes in the back of our heads here.
Yeah, I definitely think she feels like she has memory of trauma from this incident.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe she's displaced through all the therapy she had after when she came back, that she's erased the switch and believes that she was the one that walked into this incident and saw her doppelganger? Because she tells her husband, I saw a doppelganger of myself and it really traumatized
Right? That's
me.
exactly the thing. Like
she remembers that much.
I think she knows who she is, but maybe it's been long enough that like she's forgotten. Maybe that's all it is. It's not that she's like intentionally
Because this
forgotten.
movie becomes very... So I haven't watched this with the like mind theory that she knows all along.
Oh, really?
Because that makes for a sinister watch.
Okay.
If she knows who she is the entire time, and she knows like about all these below people because she's left them.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck, they're rising up. I don't think that's good.
I don't know, because she's so scared of the boardwalk and for her family. I think she knows. So this is maybe a point.
I don't know.
This is maybe a point to just like lay out who the Tethered are, which for the 5 people who don't know, there are a whole bunch of people living underground.
I love how underexplained it is because they have like, it's not just they're living in the sewers, like they have a scientific bunker down there.
Yeah,
it's pristine. It's white.
It looks like an abandoned mall.
They've got classrooms. They've got
bunk beds.
And it's like an army
handcuffs.
bunker, and they have food. They have rabbits in cages.
Yeah. Okay. So this is one of my favorite things. This is just like Fargo in the 90s, where they're just like, this is all based on a true story. Only the names have been changed to protect the living, yada yada. But out of respect to the dead, everything else has been told as it is. That's a fucking lie. Like, truly, Fargo's not based on any sort of reality. It's one of the greatest moments in filmmaking. And in the beginning of Us, we have not a similar title card, but a title card that says there are thousands, hundreds of thousands.
I don't even remember
of
this.
abandoned tunnels under the United States. Some of it is abandoned subway tunnels. Some of them have no known use at all. It's like, what the fuck are you trying to say? I haven't bothered to look that up. I love believing that it's real in the same way that it's like, oh, there are some cities in America that are just on fire underground. You know what I'm talking about? Like those abandoned mining towns where there's like a fire in a mine shaft and it's still smoldering to this day.
I guess I just didn't question it, so like I didn't even
make
a memory of it. I'm like, yeah, of course there's
abandoned
shit.
It is a detail that you would say, oh, of course there are.
Yeah.
I think I've read that on Wikipedia.
Yeah, okay, sure, let's get going.
I heard that on a podcast. Tell me about the rest of this movie.
Now bring me the horse.
And that's where the Tethered live. They live in these underground tunnels, bunkers that nobody knows about. Red and Adelaide access the Santa Cruz one through the mirror maze. Like if you know how to get there, there's like a fire exit that leads to a escalator that goes downstairs, and there's just
that's
hundreds.
Another point for her knowing who she is, because she navigates her way down there pretty.
She does.
It's pretty complicated, and I'm just like, she's doing a great job.
No problem. Down there they have rabbits. And that's what they eat. They just
electricity. Somebody's paying for this.
Okay, well, at the end of the movie, when she finds her way down there, because she's trying to find her son. God damn, I just keep hitting this microphone. She's trying to find her son at the end of the movie because Red has kidnapped her kid. And she confronts her. She gives her the big bad guy monologue
big cool
speech.
scare. Ding, 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 ding.
This is like one of 3 monologues that Red has, sort of explaining who they are, where they come from, and what their fucking deal is, without giving you all of the detail, because Kim loves how underexplained it is. That they were part of a government experiment to create some sort of doppelganger to control the world.
It was supposed to be the other way around.
They were supposed to be able to manipulate the tethered people underground that you don't see to make the public up top do what they want.
Which sounds so like CIA Nazi stuff, and I'm just like, yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, it's like MK Ultra in the thousands of miles of underground tunnels that nobody knows about.
Did they do everybody?
Well, here's the really cool thing about that is that, so let's say they did that in the 70s or the 80s, right?
They stopped at some point, and everybody was procreating in mirror image naturally.
That's the thing. So she has kids that are identical to the kids she has up top. So even though the government pulled the plug, I guess they weren't willing to just machine gun everybody.
Which seems
I don't
like
believe
a
that
stretch
part.
for the government.
That they wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
And they just kept multiplying. And I guess because they were like, well, we can't abandon them, so we'll give them some rabbits. The rabbits will breed like rabbits, and then they'll just keep eating the rabbits and live. We get a couple glimpses when Red is dragging Adelaide down there as a child, that everybody in the underground is just kind of doing like fucked up mirror world versions of everything that's going on.
It's one of my favorite moments of the movie.
Yeah.
Seeing the opening scene again later in like the reversed fucked up version.
Yeah. Like people are on roller coasters that are just like they're mimicking being on a roller coaster in a room.
Dad is fucking creepy as fuck. And he's so nice up above, but below when he's like he's getting the t-shirt and he's playing whack-a-mole, his posture's all fucked up. Like the underground is a mirror image, but it's twisted.
Yeah, it's the blurst version. It's the cursed version of up top. But they have no autonomy. Like the people down, the tethered underground are controlled by the people up top. So if the people up top do stuff, they're puppeteering the tethered down below. And where that gets evil and twisted is when Red's sort of describing what her life is like downstairs.
Oh, I love that element of it because she's telling a twisted fairy tale.
Uh-huh.
And she's talking about how this little girl fell in love, but then when her shadow met the same version, she had to marry him, and like
whether she wanted to or
like
not.
Gabe, who the little girl married, was like funny and lovely, but Abraham, his shadow, was not the same, and so she had no choice there, and they had to have the same kids, and like one kid loved fire and the other one was just evil.
Yeah. That's oh man, the worst part about that too is where she talks about having to do like a cesarean birth. And it's like, oh, the girl had to have surgery to have her second child removed, but the shadow had to do it herself.
It's a good thing that they all have immaculate gold scissors on them at all times.
When did they smelt the metal down to make those scissors?
Did the scientists give them the scissors?
Here, we also learned later on that Red is like the leader of the Tethered. She's the one that sort of spearheaded the charge to get out from underground and take over the world up top. Mm-hmm. Their ultimate goal is to rise up and to kill their tethered version of themselves and to
become
take their
untethered.
place. Yeah, become untethered. And she's got great marketing skills. She's like, you know what? Branding is really important. I like Michael Jackson.
I was a 7-year-old girl, and the last thing I saw before I went down into my netherworld was the Hands Across America commercial.
Was the Hands Across America commercial and also Michael Jackson's Thriller. She's like, I want us all wearing red jumpsuits. We got a match, and we need these cool
and we gotta walk
scissors.
cool. Like when I turn around into rooms, I gotta moonwalk into it.
Yeah, the way she walks is great. She walks like a dancer, Kim.
She does. She's got real good posture, especially for a tether. So here's where I have my biggest like logic issue with the movie.
Sure.
Is that because they are forced to mirror each other, and it seems like it's not a compulsion. Like it does. I don't think it's something that the tethered are able to control.
It doesn't seem like it.
But how are they able to uprise? Like how are they able to go through the exit, walk to their uptown version, and murder them?
Maybe they were always able to do that. They just weren't aware. Somebody had to tell them that it was possible, that you don't actually have to follow what's being done here.
Okay, and so here's my argument to the logic issue, that if we are null and voiding it for the uprising, like maybe they woke up and they realized that we're not actually tethered to them, and now we're angry for all of the time that we spent down below and they were in the sunshine with opportunity. The two boys, when Pluto dies in the fire, he dies because his earthly counterpart, Jason, walks backward
and sort of puppeteers
he mirrors into the fire. So like, when are they connected and when are they not?
That's the only like real roadblock in anything in this movie, I think.
Is it maybe just because
he's young?
Yeah.
I think that might be it.
Yeah.
I think it's just that he's too young and he hasn't necessarily figured anything out yet.
Yeah, because like essentially couldn't Red just start like slapping herself?
Well, in the end of the movie, that's kind of what ends up having to happen. When they're fighting, Adelaide is trying to attack Red. She's just like blocking all of her shots. She's always one step ahead of her, and it's because she knows all of her moves. You know, she has to actually like get hurt first to get her close in order to stab her and then choke her out. That's how she ends up winning in the end, is by like allowing herself to get hit first. If I remember that correctly. Yeah,
I don't know if you're correct. I'm too busy in the music during the climax.
But yeah, like the way that the kid walks backward really fucking throws a wrench in all of it for me. I don't understand.
And even the first time,
he's the youngest one.
Even the first time we saw it in the theater, I was just like, well, how does this shit work then? I felt like I threw my popcorn. I still loved it though.
Yeah, I think it's it's like, have you ever do you know anything about people who keep deer? Like for venison?
What?
So apparently, I've been told this. I don't know if it's entirely true.
Is this gonna relate?
It could be. I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Oh God!
It could just be a tangent. How much time do you got? No. Okay. So I mean, like this could just as easily be like there's thousands of miles of tunnels underneath the ground that no one knows about. Who knows? I have been told that deer, they can jump very high. They can clear fences if they need to. But if you're keeping deer on a farm that you've sort of raised.
Oh, they don't know how to jump?
They don't know how to jump.
Is this like the frog in the pot story?
I mean, I guess.
I don't know if that's true, but if you boil a frog, apparently he doesn't know how to jump out of it.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think that's entirely true either. But yeah, apparently if the deers don't know they can jump over the fence, like you don't have to keep a very high fence to pen in deer, because they just don't know that they can jump. So that's unless they see a renegade deer jump in.
That's not a huge risk to do with deer, to be like, haha, I'm saving on fencing. But say you want to have a lion.
Okay. Where are you going with
I'm
this?
just saying, don't skimp on fencing. If it can jump, it can jump.
That's my other thing, too. I'm just like, why risk it? Why not just build an extra 4 to 5 feet of fence? What do you fucking care? You're not climbing over it to go see the deer.
Or let the deer be free.
Or let the deer be free. The crucial moment for the Tethered in their story is seeing Red dance. She relays this story. And, like, we know that Adelaide used to be a dancer, and she gave it up at some point. There's even, like, a ballet studio in the basement of the cabin that they're in. Like, there's a giant mirror.
It's not a cabin. It's a summer home.
It's a massive cottage.
Summer homes don't have basements, John.
That's okay, fine.
I mean, cabins don't have basements. Well, I guess cabins do have basements.
If you're, like, finding a Book of the Dead.
If you're in the Evil Dead. But I mean, like, this is a home.
Yeah, no, this is truly a summer home. It's got a ballet studio in the basement, but she says she peaked at 14 is what she says. And I think it's just because she didn't have the balance or coordination that she did when she was younger, because she's no longer that version of herself.
Oh.
The girl up top who got replaced and dragged down into the tethered layer
Had the balance and coordination.
And was the real dancer. And here's where things get, like, a little murky. And, like, I don't know exactly how it works. Because the roles have been flipped, like, does she, Adelaide, up top, we're calling her Adelaide, but in reality, she's Red. Is her dancing and her, like, the dance recital that she's doing forcing the girl downstairs, Red, to dance?
Or is Red controlling her above and making her the dancer?
Exactly. But, like, as she grows older, at age 14 or so,
she gains control.
She gains control and decides not to dance anymore.
That's a really great concept.
Because,
I don't know if I've thought that far.
But so we know that she's not as good a dancer as the girl that she's replaced, because she hasn't had formal training. Like we've already mentioned, all the tethered in the basement, everything they do is like.
And then none of them speak. Red is the only one that speaks.
They don't talk. Yeah,
they
they're
all
just like.
They're great actors, though.
It's awesome. Like, I love when they're yelling across to each other from
Josh/Tex. He's one of my favorite tethereds, and he's doing such a twisted welcome in dad mode. Like, he's shucks. Like, his body postures are so, like, obtuse and twisted. I love
Tim
them.
Heidecker.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Moss, right? That family.
I want to talk about Elizabeth Moss, but yeah, he's so fun.
Okay, so the last thing that I'll say is that, like, the dance sequence is crucial for the tethered because they see her perform and they realize that she's different because she has an actual talent. It's like they're in awe seeing her dance because she has this ability that they don't have. It's almost
which makes sense if she's in control in that moment.
Well, I think that's why she becomes the leader, because they realize that she's different. She obviously, I would think, starts talking at some point, and I think they slowly start to wake up and they slowly start to gain autonomy. And that's how she's able to sort of immobilize them into this army of red-suited people who have been planning for years to rise up and take over. I think it was a slow-moving process, but it was something that she'd been working on with them for years until it was something that they were able to do.
Well, and also because they are genetic copies, I think there is something about them that is similar, at least in personality as well as looks.
Oh, it sure seems like it.
Like, I know
that Tim Heidecker
Yeah,
character.
like, I know they are different people, and they've named themselves. They all have different names. But particularly, and I think this is really proven with Elizabeth Moss's character, Kitty, who is this, like, really conceited, like, wealthy suburbanite mom. We only see her briefly at the beach day. She talks about how she wanted to be an actress. She also talks about having work done. And when we see her double has serious scarring on her face.
Because she's had to do, like, the same plastic surgery.
Exactly. But also, there's a lot of really insane face acting sequences when she's acting responses to things. Like, when she sees Tex dying in the boat, she acts horrified, and then she does this twisted laugh because she was only acting.
Oh,
and I think Dahlia, Kitty's tethered, is also an actress.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, they don't have... Man, so that's interesting, because, like, when I watch that scene now, too, I feel like there's a connection that she has with her...
I think she actually likes Tex, but I don't know.
So that's the thing, I don't know. Because if they're anything like the real Tex and Kitty...
They don't like each other.
They don't seem to like each other, right? And they would probably be similar as tethereds. And so her response might be horror because that's what her tethered would do. but she no longer has that pull to an emotion that she doesn't give a fuck about, so she can laugh because she doesn't care.
But it could also be acting.
It could also be acting. It's complicated psychology, I guess. And yeah, like, I guess that's, like, a big strength, but also, like, something that holds me back a little bit in terms of, like, not knowing how much everything's explained. I don't love having everything spoon-fed to me, but it doesn't feel as, like, fully baked as...
Yeah, like, it's great to theorize, but I do want something to be true.
I want something to nail on. Yeah. I don't want to just, like, pull theories from the VHS tapes that are beside the TV at the very beginning of the... Oh, man,
do you remember when people were doing that when it came out?
You're like, what do Chud and the Goonies have to do?
Chud means... Like, maybe Jordan Peele just liked Chud when he was a kid.
Well, I mean, Chud is about...
Shut up, John.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers, which the Tethered are. They're not cannibalistic, but they are underground dwellers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Good work.
That's right, we're here. We did it. And the Hands Across America thing is integral to the Tethered's plot. It's great because it's the last bit of, like, actual genuine pop culture that Red has before she's cast down into the Tethered lair. Like, she's essentially, like, being cut from the world at a time where Michael Jackson is king and we're about to do the Hands Across America thing. You know, it's taken over the world, and she has used that and held on to it for so long that that's essentially the plan they're doing when they come up into the real world. They go up, they kill their Tethered, and then they join hands across America.
Like, who's around the Christmas tree?
It's pretty rad. It's really...
Yeah, visually I think it's great.
Awesome plan.
I don't think it means anything other than that, like, visually it looks really fucking cool.
It looks awesome. It's also just, like, such a twisted, alternate mirror world version of, like, the nicest thing that America tried to do in 1986.
Well, and also just, like, how people without pop culture would respond to pop culture, like, doing it literally for, like, 40 years later. It's just a cool, twisted America thing.
What do you think the legal precedent is on something like this? Do they get tried for murder?
I think maybe the lawyers are dead.
Okay, well, for everybody who's alive, like, do you get, like, what do you do with this? Doppelgangers are real. They killed their human counterparts, but they are technically their human counterparts, so maybe no crime?
So the humans are, I don't want to say humans because everybody's humans. The upper, what are we going to call the untethered, or like the
people upstairs?
The people upstairs have the underhand because the Tethered are planned and they are assaulting quick and silently because they don't speak.
And the people under the stairs.
I'm assuming there's not a lot of humans left at the end of the movie. So,
you think so?
So I think it's kind of a reverse thing. I think humanity is going to go underground.
Love it.
Not necessarily literally underground, but they're going to be hidden and it's going to be less of a structured society for them. So I think the now untethered are going to be the dominating society above.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
It, like how humanity is in a zombie apocalypse movie. Like,
okay.
This is a quiet place for humans now.
Okay. All right. Do you think the Tethered level out? Like, do you think they cool off and they're just like, man, I just want to be an accountant? Like,
I think they're just going to live their best life. They all have like boats and stuff now. I mean, we're looking at just Santa Cruz, but like, good for them. They're just going to hang out and do whatever they want. And maybe find people they actually like to hang out with now that they don't have to hang out with whoever the person above chose for them.
Yeah. And, you know, based on Red and Adelaide, I think she'll learn how to talk. I think she'll learn how to, I think they'll learn how to talk. I think they'll learn how to be human beings. I think they'll integrate and create their own society.
Yeah, because if the switch up proves anything, it's that the untethered are very much human. Because Adelaide is a very empathetic character with emotions, and she's a loving mother, and she's very protective. She cares about her kids, and she can speak fluently.
The cool thing about this movie is that it's like the violence and like who the villain is truly a matter of perspective, because the entire movie you are with Adelaide and you are like, we gotta stop these fucking monsters, right? And that doesn't actually change once you learn that she is the Tethered.
Yeah.
You know, because she did the exact same thing they're all doing. She just did it for one person. Like, she, as a child, I guess just saw the opportunity, maybe just like you get the impression that she's looking around as a kid in the underground, not enjoying what she's seeing.
Yeah.
And she swaps places when she has the opportunity. She doesn't look back. She has no regrets about it.
Like, you could argue that she was already the chosen one or the smart one before the switch.
Yeah, which is what makes Red and Adelaide so perfect for it, because like they both basically do the exact same thing. But suddenly, like once they're all doing it, it's a wave of evil.
But I think that's what makes it a horror movie, John.
Yeah, I know. But like for the Tethered, like they didn't want to fucking be there. Their lives look truly awful. Like they fucking hate it. And are the red jumpsuits because it's a Michael Jackson reference? Are the red jumpsuits in reference to the Make America Great Again? You know?
I don't think they made those jumpsuits. I think those are the ones that were from when they were lab experiments.
I didn't think about the lab experiment stuff. But when we see them,
like I don't know how to explain the scissors. The scissors are just fantasy.
The scissors are just great for the message. We're untethering, you know, like
cutting an umbilical cord
or cutting the paper people together, like out that are sort of like holding hands, right?
But also they're just fantasy. Like I don't understand how logically you work the scissors into the story.
No, and like that's the other thing. Like I think it's just in terms of the movie having like some not half-baked stuff, but just like not as fully realized things. I think it's just like it's a great image, it's a fun bit, but it's not. Yeah, it's not everything. And like it seems like the movie's trying to hang a lot on itself, but I don't think it all fully fits. And it's one of those things where like, hey, if that's what you read out of it, then cool.
There is in the beginning, I'd say the first quarter of the film, another kind of element that sort of bothers me because it does kind of go unexplained. It's all of those coincidences, like the frisbee landing perfectly on the spot on the towel, and the 11:11 on the clock, and like those random things where time lines up. Yeah,
and even Elizabeth Moss's character saying like, I've been noticing so many weird coincidences over the last couple days.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Who knows, Kim? They're all bad miracles, you know what I mean?
But how does that relate to like a group deciding to uprise? Like there's nothing like if you take this movie at face value, there's nothing magical here. Because they're explaining the existence of these tethered people by science.
Yeah. That's why there's just like a couple holes there where I just don't think things fit. And I think that's what's always stopped
Answer me, John.
That's what's always stopped me from truly loving this movie. Like, especially when I see people tell me that they like this more than Get Out, and I'm just like, I don't see it. Like, I think they're both I think Us is a very good movie. I don't think it's a true masterpiece. I think it's very good and has very good scenes, but I think overall it's not fully cooked. I just think it maybe needed a little more work figuring out the lore and how some of the things work.
Okay, so what's your crazy theory that you just read or learned or came up with?
So, thank you.
Well, I don't know what it is.
I had some questions about some plot beats in the movie, so I was just going to Wikipedia, just reading the plot synopsis to refamiliarize myself with the conversation that she's having with Red at the end, talking about the government experiment stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This is what I came across. This is the final paragraph.
This is in the plot synopsis?
This is in the plot synopsis in Wikipedia, which is peer-reviewed, user-uploaded, publicly available to be edited, dissected, and just changed at any minute, which means
somebody's editorializing in the plot synopsis. Alert!
Well, it's not just like a weird cult movie from the 60s that nobody's ever heard of. This is Jordan Peele's Us from 2019. I guarantee hundreds of people are looking at this plot synopsis every week, and so if there was something wrong with it that everybody disagreed with, they'd be updating it right now. And this is what we got.
Well, you can update it after this if we determine.
I might just erase the sentence right here live on the podcast because I don't think I agree with it. Okay, so as we're talking about Red and Adelaide, she rescues her son from the downstairs. She kills her tether, and she gets up top with her family to fly off or to drive off into the sunset into safety. As she drives the family away in an ambulance, Adelaide reflects back on the night she first met Red and discovers that she herself is the tethered clone and that Red was the original Adelaide. The clone had choked Adelaide unconscious, damaging her larynx, resulting in her harsh voice. Red was the original Adelaide. The clone had choked Adelaide unconscious, dragged and trapped her underground, and returned to the surface to usurp Adelaide's life. Jason looks at his mother suspiciously, who simply smiles in a manner similar to Red's, implying that her consciousness has taken over.
What?
Yeah, right? Meanwhile, the tethered from the human chain stretching from Santa Cruz to nearby cities as helicopters fly overhead. Are they trying to say that because she killed her tethered, that their two consciousnesses have melded, or that the original Adelaide, like
I think it's just,
Red, is now taken over?
I think taking her over is just a bad choice of words. I think she's now just fully cognizant of who she is and what transpired.
But it says implying that her consciousness has taken over.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, I think it's bad wording because it's fucking peer written.
Now, I rewatched that scene, and I can't see any difference in the way that she smiles. Because, like,
she's just smiling creepily.
And this is a scene that I have talked about with plenty of people when we discuss this movie, about the way that her son looks at her, and her son doesn't trust her. Because there are scenes in the movie where he sees her defending him and the family, and she gets a little feral, like when she attacks the one of the daughters.
She has some tethered like breathing moments.
Yeah, she's like, but then she like snaps into focus, like, oh shit, I didn't realize you saw me do that, and I didn't even realize I was doing that. And there are plenty of scenes in this movie where she's doing something different than the family, like she's only eating strawberries while they're eating fast food burgers, and like whatever, maybe that's just
a preference.
That's just who she is. But there's like stuff that makes her like a little different from everybody else. Either the end of the movie, it's the son knows who his mom really is, and it has to just make peace with that, or because both of their tethers have died, their consciousnesses have melded. I don't even know.
I don't think that's happening.
It really opens it. Now I feel like I gotta watch this movie again.
I think she's smiling more at the audience than she is at her son in that moment. Okay. As in like a, haha, guess who the evil is, and I know that I'm the evil, and then Finn, curtains.
And then Finn, then curtains.
Don't think too much into it. You can change taken over, because I think that's a poor choice of wording.
Yeah. It's the problem.
This isn't a brain snatchy movie. This is a body well, this is a life snatchy movie.
It's a total
It's not
life
even.
snatchy
It's
movie.
just a duplicates battling it out.
Duplicates
movie.
attack! This is the problem when there are unanswered questions and holes that you start to try and fill them in yourself, and you wind up with wild theories that just don't quite make sense.
There are a lot of theories with this movie. One thing I've noticed is that, and I don't think these are necessarily wild, but people are really looking for references in the movie, because I think there are references. I've seen side-by-side images of, say, like the twins murder with the twins from The Shining and how their bodies are laid out in the hallway.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're exactly the same. And like that's just like a Jordan Peele homage. Like, I love The Shining. I'm doing this. And there's definitely other homages. I haven't looked them all up because you told me not to look up theories. But you were saying that there's some stretches where people are like, oh, it's just like Jaws. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
no,
the
I don't
kid's
see
wearing
that.
a Jaws shirt and
That's
there's
enough,
a boat.
Apparently, yeah. They're on a beach. We're like, oh, scared on the beach.
I guess, like, maybe Abraham getting tied up in the life preserver is like the barrels in the shark, but I
have no idea about that.
I don't think it's that. I don't know if
that's the real question. Is like, is it about the political divide, and like there are people who have completely different beliefs than you, but they look just like you, and they're so hard to tell apart, or they look just like us, they're hiding in plain sight? I don't understand. Like, is it about class structure? Is it about like privilege versus non-privilege? Like, there's so much you can hang on it. The moment you try and say that there's like somebody, like a hidden group of people that you don't know about, and there are haves and have-nots, like you could say that the movie's about practically anything, especially in a modern society. And unfortunately, it also came out at a time when red was just a very important color. And the movie's called Us. It could just as easily be called US, you know, instead of Us.
What is US?
The United States of America.
Oh.
The US.
Oh. I'm like, what?
It came out at a weird time where you could hang almost anything on it. And unfortunately, things haven't really changed all that much. Like, you could still
I don't think
exactly
it's
the
making
same.
There's commentaries being made, though, in terms of what's right and what's wrong and who's bad and who's good, which is why I don't know if it's necessarily like a deeper commentary.
Okay.
Are the tethered bad? Are the people above bad? Is Adelaide bad? Is Red bad?
And it all depends. It all depends on who you side with and who you're with and who you are at that
Maybe
moment.
that itself is the commentary.
Right. Well, that's that. There you go. That's a have not conversation, right? Like,
But it's all a case of perspective?
Yes.
But, rabbits as food, we should all agree, is not enough.
No, not a well-balanced meal
and
at
if
all.
I had to eat if I had to eat bunnies, every day until I was 8 years old and escaped, I would be eating nothing but strawberries also.
I guess that's true. I went so long without eating fruit.
Ew, you guys are eating meat again? Ugh.
Disgusting. So, how do you rate Us?
I'm going to give Us a 3 out of 4.
I'm also giving it a 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I think it's really enjoyable. I think it's got a perfect balance of humor and horror.
Oh God, some great laughs in this movie.
Yeah, and it really oscillates well between the two, which I think is hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're either too funny or too scary or whatever when you're trying to do both.
Yep.
The music is banging. The bad guys have the best outfits. They got scissors.
so fucking
I don't know
cool.
why. They're all wearing Birkenstocks. Yeah, they all have nice sandals. And it's weird how clean it is down there. Don't you think there would be
I would
a
expect
lot
it
of
to be
feces?
and
I was just
rotten vegetables.
I was just anticipating a lot of feces, and we were going to go down there, and it's pristine. So I guess they're cleaning up about as much as the people above are cleaning up,
or somebody else is coming down
because
to do
it's
it.
a mirrored thing. So whenever people are cleaning their houses,
But you think they would do a shit job? They'd be instead of sweeping, they're just smearing dirt.
Yeah, but it's clean down there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a funky movie, man. But that's just our opinion. Let us know what you thought of Jordan Peele's Us. Hit us up in the Nightmare on Film Street Discord at nofspodcast.com/discord. Let us know where this ranks in your Jordan Peele ranking of his 3 movies. Yeah, let us know what you thought about Us. If you have any weird, wild theories, what's the craziest thing you've heard people tell you about this movie? I want to know all about them.
If you want even more Nightmare on Film Street content, consider supporting us on Patreon by joining the Fiend Club. You'll get access to additional episodes and limited series, as well as our monthly watch parties / game nights at patreon.com/Nightmare on Film Street or nofspodcast.com/Fiend Club.
We'll be back again next week with a new episode, but until then, I'm John.
I'm Kim. Stay creepy.
It appears you made it out alive, but we'll get you next time. Help us to grow the horde. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you subscribe. More terror can be found lurking on our website, nofspodcast.com. Until next time, stay creepy, fiends.